Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. Carlos Hernandez versus Dennis Bondar. Carlos Hernandez is 29 years old. He's got 2 inches of height and giving up 2 inches of reach on 30-year-old Dennis Bondar. Bondar has a record of 14-3, 14 finishes, 4 by knockout, 10 by submission, and 3 losses, 1-1-1. 1 knockout, 1 submission, 1 decision. He lost by TKO, technically, to Malcolm Gordon. That was an injury, and that's the reason he's been out for a year and a half. That was his UFC debut, and he was defending a takedown against the cage, and something happened. I don't even know what happened, but you heard him screaming. So a fight was over. His submission loss comes to this guy, Jaffa Shang. I think that's how you pronounce it. But that guy's a very capable fighter. Also has a win over Zhalgas Zhumagulov. And that was a rear naked choke in round 3. And he also lost to this guy, Alexander Lunga, another capable European fighter. And he lost by decision, a 4th round decision. I don't know. The guy Lunga apparently beat him twice, according to Tapology, although I can't find the method of victory for the first result. But Sherdog has him losing to Lunga just once. Either way, I saw the one fight I could get my hand on. I think it's on YouTube, and it was a decision. But I still don't exactly know what happened here, with his record. And Sherdog made another mistake as well. Forget who it is. But either way, Dennis Bondar, he is a potent finisher, 14 out of 14, but they're all over weaker competition. He doesn't have too many solid victories there. And the guys that beat him, they're good fighters. They're not great fighters, but they're good established fighters. Even Malcolm Gordon, he's, say what you will about him. He's the lower level of the UFC, but he's still a very capable fighter. And to be honest, I thought Malcolm Gordon was winning that fight for the first 90 seconds or whatever it was. He was bullying Dennis Bondar around and out-wrestling him. Bondar, his finishes come 11 in round 1, 1 in round 2, 2 in round 3. So he's gotten it done throughout. But again, that's all over weaker competition. There's not one name that really stands out. It's mostly dog shit that he's fought. And Carlos Hernandez, he's, got half the experience. He's, a little over half the experience, but he's still, he's fought some good fighters, and I trust him more as a scrapper, just from the few fights I've seen closer to the UFC level, aside from the Alan Nascimento fight. That was his last fight, and he lost by rear naked choke. That's the one time he was finished. His other loss is by decision to this guy who's fighting over in ONE FC right now. And that decision loss comes in his debut. That guy, Gustavo Ballard, fighting in the UFC, in ONE FC. And it was his first fight ever. So, forgivable. His 8 wins come 4 by submission, 4 by decision. He's never finished anybody with strikes. And his best victory is over Victor Altamirano. He beat Victor Altamirano in the UFC. It was a very close fight. Could have gone either way. I thought Hernandez won, but I could certainly see the argument that Altamirano won. And Hernandez, he's a versatile guy, kind of like a jack of all trades. He's good enough on the feet, but obviously the power isn't there. And he's definitely more of a grappler. And he's still capable of sprawling and brawling as well, though. His win on the Contender Series over the guy Daniel Barez. That was a fight in which he was losing the wrestling battle throughout the fight. And he just kept making gains and gains. He was still being taken down, but he had an answer for it every time. And it's because his cardio was there for him, whereas the guy Barez's cardio was not. And Hernandez looked better and better as the fight went on, and he ended up winning a decision. It's another one of his better victories. And working him down the stretch, mixing up his striking really well in between takedowns. So Hernandez, I trust more. I'm just going to be honest, I trust him more. He's also got amateur victories over Charles Johnson and Jose Johnson. So he's been in there with some good fighters throughout, much better than Dennis Bondar, even though he's got a lot more experience. Bondar has been there with good fighters, but he's never beaten any good fighters, whereas Carlos Hernandez has. And even though Hernandez has been tapped recently, that was the Alan Nascimento. I don't think Dennis Bondar is, near the level of Alan Nascimento. I'd be surprised if he tapped Carlos Hernandez out. And in a fight that I think is more likely to, go the distance or go long, I expect Hernandez to start to pull ahead against Dennis Bondar. Dennis Bondar just didn't impress me. His competition is weak, and his losses, they're not to the best fighters, but they're to the best fighters he's fought, and he's lost down the stretch. The guy got him out of there. Jaffa Shang got him out of there with a round 3 rear naked choke. He lost the 4th round anyway in that decision to Alexander Lunga. And the Malcolm Gordon fight, it is what it is, but I suppose that only makes him look more vulnerable and easier to take down as well. So, in a fight I consider, to be close enough on paper and one that I envision being a scrap, I'm taking the scrapper, Carlos Hernandez. I played his money line at -105, and I will play his decision line because that's how I see him winning the fight. Just out-scrapping Dennis Bondar. But really, the money line is what I'm most comfortable with because I haven't seen Dennis Bondar lose enough. I haven't seen him fight enough here, and I want to see him fight at the UFC level. And by the way, there wasn't a lot of footage available on Bondar. A lot of these guys, a few other guys on this card, just not a lot of footage available. I checked YouTube, Fight Pass, ESPN Plus, and fucking Google. I watched one fight on like Facebook or something, but not a lot available on him. Carlos Hernandez, though, I've seen more of him, so there's more to trust, but I do trust him, and I think he's going to win this fight. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.